Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Thursday afternoon, February 16th. We are looking at Window Trader's market profile of the ES and SPY. Well, first and foremost, I haven't said this in a while, so I think it bears repeating. You need to respect how much short-term traders can move a market. Plain and simple. Okay? As vicious as this day ended up turning out to be, all we are is still in balance. Right, on the daily. We have an inside week still with 1 day to go, which would make 2 inside weeks if we're able to hold it, although I'm not so sure we're going to. I had a good day today. I didn't expect to go trend up. I told the room that. We'll go over everything in a minute. So when we did finally give back a lot, I'm not surprised, but I'm certainly surprised of the for the veracity of the liquidation break. Now, I know people are going to blame Bullard for saying he's talking 50. Take all that stuff and throw it out the window. First of all, they're not going 50, all right? It doesn't matter what Bullard says or Messer says. They're doing 25 next quarter, okay? Next month, I'm sorry. So it doesn't matter. So you could use the excuse that the market puked because of that. The market puked because the market was long from the gap lower all day, never really relieved any long pressure until late in the day. Now, I told the room I was surprised we went trend because the market really wasn't short. It was short to start with, absolutely. After the PPI and they sold it off, the overnight inventory was short, but it was not short enough for this to grind from A to G's high. It just wasn't. So for my money's worth, after the gap filled and you took away the short pressure, this became all momentum buying. This was all just retail, ticking it all the way up. The fact that we were holding single prints, surprised me. Like I said, I'm going to go over my trades in a minute. But we finally got up in G, K, couldn't get M's low. We talk about M period the next day being very important. So where there were buyers yesterday, they certainly weren't there today. We didn't even get up there. But utterly amazing. And again, this is another gap today. This is, I think, the 31st trading day and the 15th attempt at a gap this year. And only 2 have held, 1 upside, 1 downside. As far as the other ones, NQ, look at this. NQ did not gap lower, did take out yesterday's low. They got 10 wide. We could have gone down another 1,000 points. This POC couldn't move. That's not something to ignore. I talk about that. Okay? I'm not saying we're going back there tomorrow, but that is definitely something not to ignore. All right? That they did end 10 wide, days high and low, and they probed. Righty took back a trend day, a triple distribution day yesterday in A, only to have a triple distribution day today, which got taken back in the last hour. Emotional trading, okay? It's amazing. They're glass-jawed, paper-mache traders. They shatter and rip at this anything that scares them. And that's why you have to respect them. They're unstable. These are unstable traders and algorithmic traders. They don't know they know nothing about the market. There was so much different MGI that was being thrown out today. We had a gap lower, we had the overnight low, yet we had a trend day up and the IB high. I mean, you talk about taking market-generated information and just and making a mess of it. Well, it makes it very challenging, and I love the challenge, but it doesn't make it as accommodating. You want continuity. Okay, they gapped lower. What do I want? Look at this. We gapped lower today. Remember we said these lows, if we get these lows, right, that should be fairly easy. We couldn't do it yesterday. Well, we did it today. So how hard is it to go get 11 wide and test the balance low? Obviously very hard because we opened, we defended last month's high in SPY again, didn't even get anywhere near the 20-day moving average, and ripped up for 5.5 hours, only for the last hour to give it back. It's stunning, to be honest with you. So as far as my trades today, and by the way, I could have hit the biggest grand slam in a time frame in L. I'm not L. Yeah, L period. I'll tell you in a second. So A period, I took a short. We went up. I took a short as soon as we went back below the opening to go get the overnight low and get those 2 daily lows. I took a 3 lot and I got paid on it. That was nice on that short below the opening. In B period, now we're one time framing up. We do not know if we're trend yet in B until B ends. I ended up getting short. Well, first before we even took out A's high, I was scalping shorts in B about 5 total and did well. Then when we broke above, I started a short. I said I want to take a short against basically value low from yesterday and stuff. Well, it got up to about 6 short. Nothing huge, but I was short 6. But my average was only, I'm trying to think what my average was. I think it was 19 and a quarter or 19.50. Well, it backed off enough where I was able to get paid. I took them off between 18 and 17, I believe. Not a lot, but I got paid. Then we went trend in C. I did nothing in C, but I started looking for longs in D, and I longed 4 ES in D period. Now, when E made a new high, didn't get much. We had good distance, A, B, C, but look at this. D, E, and F didn't get much, did it? So I shorted E, saying they're starting to slow here. Did okay on that. Now, we traded sideways for a little while. We actually came down, couldn't even get near the singles and went up. So when G opened, I was so upset at myself. I was telling the room I was about to get long, didn't get long, and it popped. And it ran all these shorts from D, E, and F. Now, I did get long in G and made some money a couple of times on the ebb and flow back and forth. But notice what happened after G. We didn't make a new high. We did inspire by a couple of pennies, and ES is poor. So all this real extension was a stop run of D, E, and F. That's it. Okay? So I longed G. I longed I when it came back in, thinking that we're going to keep going back up to at least a point of control. I did okay on that. Now L period. We went up, had a poor high. We're not getting anywhere. I'm like, we really haven't had much of an inventory adjustment today. We haven't been below the 144 for any length of time since like 10:30 in the morning. That simple moving average. So between the single prints, the 144, the POC being moved up, buyers were still feeling pretty comfortable. I said all we need is a little shakeout below the 144, and we could shake out a bunch of weak longs. I meant to take a 5 lot at 38.50. I got short 10 ES at 38.50. You heard it, 10. But I wasn't looking for this. I was looking for it to get back to POC. So I had a good trade on the 10. But boy, oh boy, I did not even come close to taking advantage of this because I didn't expect this kind of a liquidation break. I just didn't expect it that vicious. I actually took 1 long in L once they filled the single prints. I think it was around 16 or 17, and I made like 2 points on a quick push up. But then they kept pushing and kept pushing. I'm like, that's it. I'm watching. I don't know what they really want to do. I didn't do anything after that. We did make a new low in M. We probed, but just barely. So I'm not using A's low as a reference point because M's low is the day's low is the more important one. So, good day. Incredible, though, how these short-term traders can move a market. As far as destinations, we don't have anything. Now, I'm not going to ignore value. I'm not going to ignore 8Y. But our first firm destination to the upside is today's high, 412.91. Now, it's not poor in SPY. And then above that, we have 414.06 and 415.05 daily highs. For the downside, we have 408.14, today's low, 2 cents below last month's high in SPY. 405.01, daily low. And then we have, 406.73, 11 wide from the 10th, and 402.35, which is last week's low. Very important, because right now it's still an inside week. For ES, the downside, we have 97 and a quarter, today's low, 87 and a quarter, 11 wide from the 10th, 69.75, our weekly low, 48.50 daily low. For the upside, 45.50 daily high, poor high, 59 and a quarter daily high. Now, let's go to the charts. And again, tomorrow I'll be recapping all of these. please keep in mind, as vicious as these short-term traders have moved the market, it's just balance on the daily. And we'll go to that in a minute. So look at the monthly. We keep coming back to test. Now, the reason I use SPY's monthly high is because even though there's a dividend that screws things up a bit, I think SPY charts are more accurate than the ES charts because of how many different things people use, whether it's back adjusted, not this and that. So that's why I think SPY is more stable to use, okay? SPY's high last month is 408.16. We got away from it by $10 early in the month, but we've come back a bunch of times and keep testing it. So the question is, like I like to ask, who's defending it here? I have no idea. Is it long-term money defending it here? Or is this a case of getting pecked to death by a chicken? Is this the 1,000-pound guy jumping up and down on a trampoline that at some point you're not going to hold this and finally go through? That remains to be seen. Maybe we'll get our answer tomorrow. I don't know. But for now, the monthly is up, barely above last month's high. Look at our weekly. That's an ugly weekly candle with 1 day to go. It's an inside week inside of an inside week. I went back as far as August of 2020. We haven't had 2 inside weeks in a row since that, obviously before that. So will we get it again, or will we take out last week's low or last week's high tomorrow? We're only $3 from last week's low, but every attempt that sellers have made this week, they've been rejected. Is tomorrow the charm? Tomorrow we have options expiration. A lot of those 4,100 SPX options go off the table tomorrow morning. So if they have been defending 4,100 because of the expiration, and that's not there after the opening tomorrow, well, then there's a good chance that maybe we don't defend last week's low and we come out of an inside week to the downside. Remains to be seen. And the daily, don't forget, not only did we gap lower today, we gapped lower out of an inside day. How did that work out the first 5 hours of the day? 5.5 hours of the day. Well, if you shorted that, you got ripped apart. Well, again, I shorted it, but I did okay. I'm talking about if you just sat in it after B period and said it can't go high, it can't go high. Well, you got bailed out, but boy, oh boy, were you feeling heat for 5.5 hours if you held the short from all day. Okay? So the inside day down failed miserably, but then actually we closed basically below yesterday's low, and that's an ugly candle. But again, it's all just an 11-day balance, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, I always forget. 11-day balance. So this is going to be important tomorrow. If we get acceptance below the 20, then we should come out of the inside week. And we should at least test the inside week to the downside and test our, which is this day here, February 10th, and test our balance low. So you have the 20. You have I'm losing my mind. You have the 20-day moving average. You have the weekly inside week, and you have the bottom of a balance for the daily. Will it be defended? If not, you can get some pretty vicious move to the downside tomorrow. If they defend it again, then guess what? You're just going to trade in this mess again. All remains to be seen. Thanks for the likes and subscribing. Hope you had a good day trading. Enjoy your evening. And we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.